Hey, what's up? PyroDrake here with another Buffy theory.
I've got a theory.
This time I actually want to talk about Giles. As before, I may make reference to all 7 seasons of Buffy. This being about Giles, I probably won't refer to the Angel series this time. That out of the way, the theory of the day is regarding the Watchers Council. Specifically, is Giles, being the Watcher of the Active Slayer, a fluke? So, what do I mean by that? Well, basically that the Watchers Council actually never really wanted Giles to be the Active Slayer's Watcher. Now, there's nothing that states this outright, but I've got a couple of hints to point me in that direction. First things first, welcome to the Hellmouth. I want to take a look at the moment he realizes Buffy is the sole transfer student and that she's probably the Slayer.
Perspectives on 20th century.
If you take a look at Giles' face when he brings out the book of the vampire, he seems happy and almost giddy. For him, this is like his first day at a brand new job that he absolutely loves. He's just so excited that he gets to train a Slayer. When Buffy says she's way sure she doesn't want the vampire book, Giles simply puts it away and goes on to ask her what book she does need. He might have been told by the council something along the lines of, you know, if you get a transfer student, there's a possibility she's a Slayer. Had he known 100% that Buffy was the active Slayer, I could see him trying to convince her of her calling, similar to how Merrick did in the Origin comic. As a side note, wouldn't it be awesome if they turned the Origin comic into a full-length movie? Imagine that. Hell, they can even hire a horrible director and take the script out of context and it'll still be good. Moving on. Next, we're going to look at Faith, Hope, and Trick. Here, Giles gets wistful of the Watchers retreat, stating,
It's a great honor to be invited. Also, I'm told.
So, off the bat, I can probably end this there. I mean, the or so I'm told implies that regardless if he's the Watcher of the Active Slayer, they could still have invited him. After all, he initially believes that Faith's Watcher went to the retreat, so it's not unheard of for the Active Slayer's Watcher to get invited. Next, I want to look at the episode Revelations. In this episode, we have Gwendolyn Post posing as Faith's new Watcher. She shows up to obtain the Glove of Midian, and we find out by the end of the episode that she was fired and was an ex-Watcher. Giles offhandedly mentions,
She was kicked out by the council a couple of years ago for misuses of dark power. I swear there was a memo.
Well, I better go.
Now let's not forget that being a Watcher is actually a paying job. I don't know about you, but if I received a memo stating, we fired so-and-so, if she shows up, don't let her interfere with your Watcher duties, I'd probably have remembered it. From this, we can infer that Giles doesn't really communicate well with the council and has ignored priority memos in the past. Skipping ahead a couple episodes, we have Helpless. Now, I get it that Quentin is Giles' boss, but throughout the episode, he just talks down to Giles. In the end, he actually blames Giles for having a fatherly love for the Slayer and fires him. Wouldn't a Watcher that loves their Slayer as their own daughter actually be beneficial? I mean, in Season 5, Episode 7, Fool for Love, we see Buffy and Giles going through the old Watcher's diaries looking for specifics on each Slayer's last battle to no avail. Giles mentions that the Watchers also had great feelings towards their Slayers, and may have found the details too ghastly to record.
Why didn't the Watchers keep fuller accounts of it? The journals just stop.
I suppose if they're anything like me, they just find the whole subject too...
Unseemly? Damn. Love you, but you Watchers are such prigs sometimes.
painful, I was gonna say.
Having a Watcher think of a Slayer as his own daughter, to me anyways, means they won't send their Slayer off on a careless mission. Now, let's shift focus for a moment, and I want to talk about Wesley. Wesley was sent by the council as a new Watcher for Buffy and Faith. In other words, he was handpicked by the council to be the active Slayer's Watcher. It makes sense based on what we find out about him later on. He was head boy, after all. On paper, he probably sounds like the absolute best person to be the active Slayer's Watcher. This is essentially like hiring someone out of college who has a 4.0 grade average. They excel at academics, but they may not have too many interpersonal skills. Alright, finally, I want to jump to Season 3, Episode 9, The Wish. In this episode, Anyanka grants Cordelia's wish that Buffy never came to Sunnydale.
I wish Buffy Summers had never come to Sunnydale.
Done.
Now, why is this important? Well, the fact that Giles is still in Sunnydale. He apparently put together his own little band of vampire hunters, but unfortunately all of them together still don't equal the power of one Slayer. The fact that Giles is in Sunnydale means to me that he was sent there regardless of where the active Slayer is. We also find out later on that there's a Hellmouth in Cleveland, so it's not exclusive to Sunnydale. The way I read this is as follows. Watchers, after training, are sent out all over the world. They're sent to every Hellmouth and or every location of a potential Slayer. I mean, both Kendra and Faith had Watchers as well. Given that Giles complains about Sunnydale several times, we can probably assume he was sent here against his will.
God, every day here is the same.
Bright, sunny, beautiful. However, can we escape this torment?
Really. Morning. Morning.
He probably would much rather have just stayed in England. This tells me that there's probably 100 Watchers all over the place, which gets confirmed in Season 7, Episode 9, Never Leave Me.
We've lost contact with operations in Munich, Switzerland and Rome. And we've got casualty confirmations coming in from as far away as Melbourne.
They have, had branches all over the world. Alright, so, adding all this together, it's possible Giles became the active Slayer's Watcher by chance. Here's how I read his situation. Back at the Watcher Council, the higher-ups, including Quentin, choose trained Watchers to fly all over the world to keep tabs on each Hellmouth, and to be available in case a Slayer gets activated in their area, or to train potential Slayers, as Kendra's Watcher did. Quentin doesn't particularly care for Giles, so let's send him across the ocean. With how much the Watcher Council grasps control over anything and everything, they really can't predict where a Slayer is going to show up, and it just so happened to be in Giles' area. I mean, he's so happy to train a Slayer when we first see him, almost like he won the lottery. Congrats, Giles. Congrats. Alright, if you made it this far, wow, thanks. Feel free to do all those YouTube-y thingies, like comment, subscribe, etc. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Peace!
There's nothing we can face except for bunnies.
The Earth is doomed. The Earth is definitely doomed.